Dear friends, God's grace is with us today. Amen. So in our gospel for today, we meet a very tenacious widow who will not give up in seeking the justice that she deserves. She will not give up. And in fact, she eventually gets the justice because the judge, who doesn't have any respect for God or respect for people, he just says, this lady's going to wear me out. She's going to wear me out, so I'm going to give her the justice she deserves. She would not give up. Perseverance is the thread that ties our Genesis reading about Jacob wrestling with an angel and the widow in our gospel. In Genesis, it says that Jacob wrestles all night long. How many of you have wrestled through the night? Not physically, but in other ways. We can relate to Jacob in our life and in our faith and in our relationships. We all do a lot of wrestling. We wrestle with our health. We wrestle with our marriages and our families. We wrestle with work issues. We wrestle with what is my purpose at this stage in my life, because that purpose kind of changes over time, does it not? We can wrestle with fear about the future, whether it's my own personal future or whether it's the future of this world. We can wrestle to keep faith. I know there's some of you who are like me. You have wrestled about keeping faith and believing and trusting. And we can wrestle with our mistakes and our failures. Those things are so tenacious. Mistakes and failures, they just want to get a hold of us, and they just want to cling to us with the shame and the guilt that goes with them. Like Jacob, we know what it is to wrestle. And so I'm drawn to this widow in our gospel. She has no money. She has no powerful friends. She doesn't even have a court-appointed attorney. But this is what she has. She has tenacity. She has persistence. She has the strength to endure. That's what this widow has. Tenacity, persistence, and endurance. And she is an encouragement to us as we wrestle with life and with faith. This widow calls out to us with this truth. It is not always strength, not always power, and not always position that wins the day. Many times it is tenacity, and it is persistence, and it is endurance that wins the day. The tenacity and persistence to cling to the promises of God. And in turn, let God's promises cling to us. You know, there are some teams who are known as the big play team, right? Football teams, the big play team. I'm a Jets fan, and we're pretty much a no-play team this year. And then there are teams that are known as the grinded out kind of teams. Life and faith and family and relationships, they are about grinding it out with tenacity, with persistence, and with endurance. Enduring prayer and love, trusting in the God who never gives up on us. The psalm today is so beautiful. So beautiful. I lift up my eyes to the hills. Where will my help come from? My help will come from the Lord. And the one who watches over us, he's not going to fall asleep on his watch. This one will neither slumber nor sleep. That is the promise of God. You see, God is like the widow. God is tenacious. God is persistent. God is enduring with his love for us. So when I was in seminary, we had to read a book called Report to Greco by Nikos Kazantzakis. He's a Greek author. And it's kind of the story of his life. And he talks about one summer, he spent the whole summer at a monastery in Greece. And during that time, he had a number of conversations with an old monk by the name of Father Markarios. And Nikos says, one day I asked the old monk, Father, do you still do battle with the devil? And Father replied, no, I used to when I was younger, but now I have grown old and tired. And the devil has grown old and tired with me. And so I said to Father Markarios, so your life is easier now. And Father said, oh no, it's much worse. Now I wrestle with God. And Nikos said, you wrestle with God and you hope to win? And Father said, no, I wrestle with God and I pray to lose. Pray to lose. Let us all lose to God. And what does that mean? Father Markarios is saying, I need to surrender myself. I need to surrender myself to God. And so I pray that I would lose to God's grace. I would lose to God's mercy, lose to God's forgiveness, lose to God's tenacious, persistent, enduring love, that I would surrender to that and say, I lose. God, you win. Your grace, your mercy, your forgiveness, your love, you win. So at the end of the reading from Genesis, we heard that Jacob was both blessed and wounded. Doesn't life do that to us? It blesses us, but it wounds us. They both come together. He was blessed and wounded, and so are we. And you notice that when Jacob left that morning, it said he left with a limp. That's us, isn't it? That's us. But even if we have a limp, let us continue to keep moving. Even if we're limping, keep moving. Be tenacious. Be persistent. Be an enduring spirit, because that's the way God is for you. And let us be that for each other.